Hello friends, and welcome to my tutorial on how to make eyes flash like in this image that we have here. To start off, we're going to need a version of Photoshop and an image that's ready to go. Okay, now you've got your image open in Photoshop, the first thing you're going to want to do is make two new groups and name one lights on and the other one we're going to name lights off. This will save confusion later on. Next thing we're going to want to do is duplicate our original image and move one into each group. Next we're going to make it look like our character's sitting in the darkness. To do this in our lights off group, we're going to make a new layer and fill it with a dark blue, almost black colour. Now to get the effect, I find you need to go into the layer options here, into the drop down box, and go to linear light. Now it'll look really dark at first, but you can reduce the opacity to make it look like it's sitting in almost darkness. It also retains the original blue, so it makes it look almost believable. When you find an opacity and setting that you feel looks the best, go ahead and just duplicate that blue layer and drag it down into your lights on. Now we're going to want to hide our lights off so we can start to make it look like the lights are on, basically. We're going to grab an eraser tool, it doesn't particularly matter which, but you can get different effects depending on if you use like a hard or soft brush. So have a little play around with that. I'm just going to use a hard round pressure size. And we're going to zoom in on our eyes and we're going to start erasing around them like this. And already you can start to see that it kind of looks like they're glowing, or at least they have some sort of a light behind them. You also want to bear in mind, sort of for eyes in particular, the light would come out from them and sort of illuminate parts of the face as well, so you might want to just go around the noses and such, depending on what you're drawing. Just make sure you get like as much detail as possible. It's the same if you have light coming from inside something as well, like illuminate the edges as well, so erase some of the teeth here, around the side of the mouth. Stay into the left side of these teeth because that's the direction of the light. You can be a lot more delicate with this. I'm doing this quite quickly, so it's not going to look too great, but as long as you get the idea. Like this. Bit of light leaking over the sides as well of these teeth. And also try to think about everything the light would sort of shine on in its environment as well, so I think there'd be a bit of light on the nose here, and maybe on the edge of the security camera. I want to see sort of like this light reflection on top of this arm and leg as well. It's pretty experimental. Sometimes you could add too much and it won't look right, but you can just go back to your layer options, make it normal, and colour over it in blue again if you mess up. So it's not too much of a big deal. Just going to add some on the side of this tooth. And zoom out. And I think I'll stick with this for now. You can be a lot more critical when you do your own. Just make sure you keep it a little bit consistent on where the light is touching. So I'm pretty happy with that. We can move on now. When you're happy with your final picture, you can see, sort of preview what the animation is going to look like simply by clicking the, by showing the lights off layers and just clicking them through as if they were the animation. And if you're happy with that completely, we can go straight into the animation part and making it into a GIF. To do this, you go into Window and all the way down to the bottom it says Timeline. Just show this panel and it should come up here. For previous versions of Photoshop, I think this is called Animate rather than Timeline, so I think it might be pre-CS5. You'll be looking for the Animate window, but I think it's the same sort of thing, so go ahead and open that. Make sure that your lights off is shown, so you have the sitting in darkness part for this next part. You're going to want to merge down your blue layers into the original images, so they're just one in their own. And to get the animate, you go to your timeline box and you go all the way to the end to like a little arrow with a bunch of lines next to it. and you go to make frames from layers, which is somewhere in the middle underneath optimize animation. Just go ahead and click this and it should automatically make the layers for you, or the frames even, and then it will come up with 0 seconds as the default, and you get some sort of epileptic sort of flashing going on. That's only because it's 0 seconds between each frame. You can choose your own sort of time frame between the two, and press shift to select both layers, so you click, but you only really need to do that if you have more than sort of like 4 layers. But yeah, you click on the 0 seconds arrow and you can choose how long you want each frame to last. So I'm just going to choose 0.2 seconds. It's probably going to be a bit too fast, and you can see it's started animating the whole picture for me. Pick a time you feel is necessary. You might want the lights to be quite quick, therefore you turn their frame down lower than the lights off sort of frame, so I might put that as like, I don't know, 0.5, and you sort of get like a staggered sort of flashing feel. When you found a time that you like, you can go ahead and straight away save it, but the way you save it is you go to File, rather than Save As or Save, we go to Save for Web, which is 2 underneath that. So once you get your Save for Web box up, it will preview your image. As you can see, my image is massive. You might want to turn down the size of your image if it's too big, like mine is. If it's this big, like if you use A4 as your default sort of drawing settings, which is fine, you can go down to image size and change percent from 100 to 20 or something, and it will bring it down to something much smaller. This will make the GIF load quicker and all around look better. No one wants to sort of scroll across your image, and it will be, you know, less space used on your computer. Next, you want to go to your preset and just check that it's got under preset it's got GIF checked, and I'll just go to 128 dithered. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure you have the GIF part selected, and that will make sure that it saves as an animation / GIF rather than a JPEG, which is just a standalone image. And you can even see it will have even have like looping options down here and such. You don't really need to touch anything from that. You've pretty much saved everything, and you can just save your image normally and it will be saved as a GIF forever. When doing this, you need to bear in mind that you might need to save your image as a JPEG, a secondary JPEG, because websites such as DeviantArt can't preview these images, or even YouTube obviously, so you might just need to save a standalone JPEG, just as sort of like a preview image. You could write animation or something across it just to make sure people know that it has something else going on. But apart from that, you're finished. If you enjoyed this tutorial, let me know in the comments below. If you want any other sort of tutorials, also let me know in the comments below. I really like to see if anyone uses this technique on their pictures. If you do, message me on my DeviantArt or whatever, just send me a link and I'll check it out. Thanks guys!